Leveling up your gear in Maplestory M is incredibly important for a few different reasons. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys some important information about leveling gear in Maplestory M, as well as talk about a really important ingredient in leveling gear, and that is going to be dusts. So let's go ahead and get into it. So to get to the leveling gear screen, you go to the upper right here, go to Forge, and it's going to be the very first thing that ends up popping up. Now there's a couple different reasons why you're going to want to end up leveling up your gear. First of all is a pretty obvious one. Leveling up your gear and increasing its levels is just going to end up giving it more stats, which is going to make the gear more powerful. So if I have a piece of gear that's level 1, if I have a piece of gear that's level 5, I think my wand is actually level 5. Let's see. Yes, my wand is level 5. So the level 5 version does have more stats than the level 1 version. So it does just give you some extra stats. There's a couple other really important reasons why you want to level up gear though, and those are going to be for ranking up your gear or for fusing gear. Now there's a really big difference, and this is something that a lot of newer players are going to end up mixing up. So I'm going to tell you guys right now the huge difference between ranking up and fusing. Ranking up is where you're going to take your piece of gear that is at maximum level, and then you're going to use upgrade stones. You get these upgrade stones from questing. You get them at around level 35 at the end of the level 35 quest line. Pretty early on into the game, you're going to end up getting your normal and your rare upgrade stones. And this is going to upgrade your piece of gear. It only takes one piece of gear to upgrade it, but you do need those rank up stones. Now those rank up stones, they're pretty rare, they're hard to come by. You do get some by actually leveling up and playing the game, but besides that, if you want to end up getting more, you're either going to have to end up making alt characters, or you're going to have to end up going to the gold leaf shop. And as you can see, you can indeed buy rank up stones here. I would absolutely not recommend buying anything in the gold leaf shop other than epic or unique upgrade stones. Don't buy anything else. Gold leaves are just too valuable. They're too precious. You can get normal and rare upgrade stones just by leveling up alt characters, so definitely don't waste your gold leaves on those. Now, the reason why you would pick ranking up gear other than fusing gear, or besides fusing gear, is ranking up your gear is going to keep its stats. It's going to keep the attack range that the weapon has if it is a weapon, and essentially what this does is it allows you to purchase a low-level item or use a low-level normal item that has max attack, and it allows you to carry on that max attack to a higher rank. So it'll allow you to carry on the max attack on a weapon from normal to rare, and then it'll allow you to carry on the max attack from rare to epic. So what you can end up doing is you can end up going to the trade station, you can buy a max attack weapon. I know I've talked about this several times before, so I'm not going to go too into detail on the stats of max attack weapons, but they're really cheap now because the game is a couple weeks old. And then you can use the rank up process in order to keep the max attack. Fusing, on the other hand, is completely different. Fusing is not going to use those upgrade stones. It is going to take two pieces of equipment. It is going to take two pieces of equipment that are both the same type of equipment. They're both the same level, max level, of course, and it's going to combine them into a piece of equipment, a higher tier. Just like ranking up is going to give you a higher tier equipment, fusing is also going to allow you to combine two pieces of gear to get one piece of gear that is a higher rank, and the difference is it's going to randomize the rolls of the stats. So if you have a max attack weapon or a max attack or good stats, it's going to re-randomize it. So absolutely do not fuse max attack weapons because you are going to lose that max attack. Now, another big difference between fusing is when you do fuse, it also has a rare chance. Now, it is very rare. I tried doing a couple attempts in the video last night, if you guys haven't checked it out, which is another reason why I'm making this tutorial guide, is because I did some fusing yesterday, so this is a little bit of a follow-up guide for newer players, but you do have a chance of getting Emblem Gear. Emblem Gear is super rare. You'll notice it by the background. It doesn't have the regular white background that normal gear has. It'll have a little cool maple emblem, and the stats on Emblem Gear are way higher. They've got a special bonus. It's essentially the end game grind. Because they're so rare, they're super expensive. Emblem Gear goes for tens, if not hundreds of millions of mesos on the trade station, and it's what the end game grinders are really looking for. So you do have a chance to get Emblem Gear from fusing. It is very rare, and fusing is a gamble because you need to take several pieces of gear gear, level them up to max level, which is very expensive. It takes a lot of mesos, it takes a lot of refinement items, or I guess leveling materials, however you want to call it, dusts, which I'll talk about in a second, because I want to talk a lot about dusts in this video because of how important they are. And it's gonna be a massive gamble, because most likely if you don't end up getting an emblem piece of gear, you're either gonna break even, you might even lose some money, but if you do get an emblem piece of gear, if you get really lucky, you're gonna have hit the jackpot. So that's the difference between ranking up and fusing. Now let's talk a little bit about dusts, because dusts are very important, and at this stage in the game, we have a weird, I guess you could say, a meta, where the most efficient way to actually end up getting dusts is to level up alts. Not sure how long it's going to end up being like this, but for now, the most efficient way to stock up on these dusts or these powders is to actually end up leveling alts. Now, I'm going to show you guys why it's so important to know all the different dusts, and what they do is because they are going to cost a lot of mesos if you end up using the cheaper or the worse dusts, and this is going to make your fusing or your ranking up or just your leveling gear process in general a lot more expensive. So let's go ahead and take, I guess, a piece of example equipment, this spear right here, and then let's go ahead and put in one normal dust. This is just the white dust, this is the common dust, and as you can see, it's going to give it 8.5% of a level and cost 5,000 mesos. Now, if we end up going to a blue dust, it's going to give it 25.64% of a level, but it's going to cost 7,000 mesos. So it gives something like 3 times as much experience, right? So 8.5%, and this one gives 25.6%, so 3 times as much experience, but it only costs a couple extra mesos, right? So normally it would take 3 white dusts to get the same amount of experience, right? So in order to get the same experience as a blue dust, it would take 3 white dust, exactly the same percentage, 25.64. So it would cost 15,000 mesos in white dusts to get the same experience that we would get from 1 blue dust, and a blue dust only costs 7,000. So we save 8,000 mesos by using this blue dust instead of using 3 regular dusts. Now, if we look at epic dusts, it's even crazier. Look at that, 64.95% of a level, and it only costs 10,000 mesos. That's absolutely crazy. So you end up saving a ton of mesos if you end up using the higher powders, and the amount of mesos is pretty significant. So you really want to try to use the better dusts if you can. And unfortunately, right now, the best way to get dusts is to level up alt characters. Leveling up alt characters, there's a couple different methods, but you can power level your characters in Sky Terrace up to level 35 to 40, and then you can start the level 38 or 40 quest line, I believe it is. Let's see. This is going to be the best quest line to get those epic dusts. I believe it is the... Let's see. The Kerning, I think it's the Kerning City quest line is where you start getting epic dusts. So you can end up power leveling your character to level 30 by just going to a high level zone and joining a party and leeching off of people. I don't know, some people might not like that. Some people might get a little mad at you. I really don't know how people feel about it, but you'll get to level 35 or so in just a couple of minutes. It's super quick. You can also just level up normally. I know I leveled up my alts normally up to level 35. It only took me maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most. I don't even know if it took that long. So you also get some other stuff. If you level up your alts normally, you'll also end up getting those upgrade stones as well. So after you get to level 35, you're going to get a ton of epic dusts by doing all these quests here up until around level 80. I think you get something like 200 epic dusts for both weapons and for armor. And that is going to save you millions, quite literally millions and millions of mesos. So it's up to you. The decision is up to you whether you want to actually level up alts in order to save mesos, or if you want to play your main character and just grind and farm the game normally and farm mesos and don't really care whether you're ending up using the epic dusts or the normal dusts, because you're going to get a lot of normal dusts just by auto battling and doing things like the mini dungeon. Now, you can also end up using equipment to level up gear as well. So let me go ahead and show you. So let's go back to my weapon. And so once again, if we go back, this normal dust is going to cost 5,000 mesos and give 8.5% of a level. But if we decide to use a piece of equipment as material, it's going to give us twice as much experience for the same amount of mesos, right? So we are at 17.09% of a level, still 5,000 mesos. So that would normally end up taking us 2 of these dusts. So by using this piece of equipment, we save about 5,000 mesos, and it would take us 2 dusts. So you can use equipment, and generally speaking, the difference between dust and equipment is going to be slightly better. It's going to be better than the dust of the type of ranking that it is, but it's going to be worse than the dust below it. So for example, this is a normal piece of equipment. So a normal piece of equipment is going to be better than normal dusts, but it's going to be worse than rare dusts. And then if we use a piece of rare equipment as material, it's going to be better than rare dusts, but it's going to be worse than epic dust. So it's kind of like in between. So if you can end up finding good deals on pieces of gear in the trade station, and you do decide to fuse some gear or level it up and rank it up, it might be, it's a bit of a hassle, I'm not gonna lie. Buying all that gear to use as refinement materials to level up your gear, it's very, very expensive. So right now, the best way to go is absolutely dusts. I know I did some fusing the other day, and I'm not going to spoil it to those of you guys who haven't seen that video, but I did some attempts at fusing. And one last thing that I'll go ahead and leave as a note for this video is, do you want to fuse now? Is fusing a good idea? Is it not a good idea? And I know I talked about this as well yesterday, and the answer to that is, do not start fusing gear until you already have a good set of equipment on your character. That is because fusing is incredibly expensive, and it is a gamble. You can end up losing a lot of mesos if you get unlucky. Pretty much until you end up getting an emblem piece of gear, you're going to be breaking even or losing money. And it's just incredibly expensive. It's very time consuming if you do decide to make alts to get dusts. It's very, very expensive. It costs millions of mesos. I spent something like 12 million mesos yesterday just fusing gear. So I would not recommend it until you have a decent set of equipment actually completed yourself. It's always the safer bet to actually just buy decent equipment off the trade station. If you want to do it yourself, you do take that risk of possibly not getting the results that you want. So the decision's up to you, of course, whatever you want to do to have fun playing the game, but I would absolutely try to get at least a full set of decent epic gear, maybe even a couple of uniques, like a unique weapon, before you start sinking all of your mesos into fusing. So that's going to be about it for this video. I've thrown a lot of stuff at you, so I think I'm going to call it here. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching and all the support on the channel. We are getting really close to 1,000 subscribers, so if you enjoyed the videos, thank you very much, everyone. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking the videos as well. And of course, if you have any questions or comments, or you want to say anything, feel free. I read the comments a couple times a day. So if you do want to leave any feedback or any comments, feel free. So that's it for this video. And with that being said, this is Salt of the Salty Guild signing out.